English players, and it was around. You were like one of the first of the overseas. Now, when you finished in 2003, it was largely a Premier League of overseas players. Did the football change?
Well, I think so very much. When I first came, first of all, there were not as many foreigners like you can see them now. You can see now. Also, I think the style of football was a little bit different. I believe that when I first came in '96, there were 5-6 teams maybe. They used to play a kind of more European style of football, and the rest of the team they used to play a more direct football. Now, if you see, it's the opposite. You know, there are not many teams that they play the way they always try to play ball on the floor. Consequently to that, the whole structure of the team has changed, because before the quality players, they used to be on the wide areas, and they used to have always two big centre half, and the main key, the main way to play football was to play on the side, and then put crosses in and go for the second ball. It was now it's completely different. You see teams that they play with the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1, so many different styles of football, but they all the teams that try to play football, they play from the back. I've seen recently also Blackpool playing. They try to play, they play good football. They have 3 small strikers up front, something that never done in this country. And personally, I think is going for the better, because you see so many different styles and so many ways, and the quality of the football now the Premier League is producing is fantastic.
I remember a game that Dennis Wise played for England, where he got the ball on the left, saw nothing ahead of him, turned round and passed it back to one of his defenders, which if he'd done at Chelsea with a defence then of probably, up from memory, Ferrer, Desailly, Leboeuf, Lasseau or Babiara, wouldn't have been a problem. But this is 2000. With England, it led to a goal that knocked us out of a tournament, the Euro 2000s. From that point of view, I mean, have English players had to learn to be completely different?
I think so, yeah, many they had to change, but if you are learning something new, that, you know, you are somehow starting a process that is going to make you better. If you know to play football only one way, you can always get to a certain point. But if you know many different ways, and that is a kind of personally something that I took advantage when I was in Naples. I had the best players in the world around me, and they taught me different ways. Something that probably if I didn't have them, I would never ever thought of. I think it's about knowledge, about knowing to do things in a different way, because maybe one day you are playing in a way and it's not working, so you have to change something, and that's what makes it different. So I believe that all of this is going to take the level of the players in this country much higher than before. That is my personal opinion. It's normal.
I mean, everyone goes on, Frank, about English players not being technically good. Has the technique of English players improved in the lifetime of your career?
Yeah, I think so. The game's quicker and faster, and there's a high technical level. The big change has been the sort of foreign influx, which was Franco, and I think Franco led it. I'm just saying that generation coming over, and my memory of being a West Ham kid coming and watching a game here was Franco turning Julian Dix inside and outside and then scoring, and that kind of thing, you know, that was the ability we're talking about. I personally felt I came as a young West Ham boy with a bit of potential, but I used to sort of run up and down in the West Ham's team, get a bit involved but try and get in the box. When I came to Chelsea, I had to play, had to try and get in the ball, so I had to work on my technique. So I try and work on my left foot. My left foot was poor when I come in. I knew I needed to get that better because Jody Morris was already here, could clip a ball 50 yards with his left foot, and I couldn't. And I'd just been paid 11 million quid for, so I knew I had to up it. So, you know, if you want to learn, and I think English players are, and the English game has, then you improve. Certainly improved in my time.
That's phenomenal, because West Ham have always been, more than anything, a club that is known for its football and its footballing quality.
Yeah, so. It wasn't too much. I mean, we was sort of desperate times can be desperate measures, and we had some bad times there. And Harry used to say, "Put the ball in the channel." He's playing Dowie up front. No disrespect to Dowie, you're playing for one reason, to hit him. And so there was a bit of an idea of that, but that's probably where English games sometimes can falter, because rather than try and play our way out of trouble, we go direct. It's an easy way out, and that's probably where the shortfall is when you start talking about the international game with us. That's something that's a little bit ingrained from coaching, and that's why I think technically as a group we're still behind Spain, Italy, South American team.
And Frank, you kind of touched on it very delicately there, but I think it's a very important thing. I think for quite a few years, maybe 20 odd years, England has developed certain types of players, and very few very good technical players have come through. I mean, there's been a lot about power and pace and all the rest of it, Frank being an exception of technical guys who have learned the trade. When we've needed real top quality, right top of the tree technical players, we bought them, brought them in. And that's kind of held a lot of players back. I also think there was watching some of the coaching, as I grew up in the English game and watched, some of the coaching wasn't great. Some of it was pretty one-dimensional. You see yourself, put it in the channels. I just thought that was so backward. And I thought that was backward in the mid-80s. But that was still going on 10, 15, 20 years later. Another thing happened as well, just when the Premier League started, we did go quite power and pace for quite a while, and I think you were such a standout because there were so few players like you. Those players were pushed out of the game almost completely. And I think England's beginning to pay the price, or has paid the price for that, because this golden generation, who's coming after you? They're quite good. I don't think they're going to be as good as you lot, and it's a bit of fear.
At the beginning, it was a big advantage that I found. It was that when Ruud put me up front with Mark Hughes, and I was playing Mark Hughes and I was playing off him, the defense were not so used to play with a player like that, because there were the midfielder weren't pick me up. But the defender wouldn't pick me up, so I was always on my own. Plus, they were used to defend against big players. So to find a small player, a midget,
there used to be a hole in there. There used to be a gap in there.
There used to be a gap, and they didn't know how to handle me. So it was for me easy to go past them because they were not used to it, and that was different. In that one of the reasons why I was so successful.
But one of those first games, once you'd already been a success, Alex Ferguson man-marked you in the game here in February. I think you joined in November. Was it Phil Neville? Phil
No,
Neville?
not Phil.
Gary?
No, Phil.
Phil Neville, Phil Neville. And you scored after 2 minutes because you realised you were being man-marked, and you took him out to where he wasn't expecting to go, the wing, and he didn't quite know what to do.
I was used to that because playing in Italy, obviously the tactical side was very. To be honest, I came from a league, the Italian league, that in those years it was very advanced.
But Ferguson said afterwards, to his credit, I didn't realise that Zola was so clever.
No, I knew exactly he was marking me, but I knew how to get rid of the man marking, because in Italy I used to be man marked all the time, and so I knew what positions I had to take in order to lose my man, and that was going back to what we were saying about knowledge. I knew then the game, and I use it at my advantage.